Take the Leap is the podcast where we get real about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship and life. Sure, some folks make running a business look like a walk in the park, but let's be honest, it's more like a wild ride through a theme park with a lot of unexpected twists and turns.
Join us, your co-hosts, Ashlan
and Tory,
as we spill the beans on our own real-life experiences and shine a spotlight on some amazing guests. From the highs of success stories to the lows of epic failures. And hey, we'll even throw in some cringe-worthy, laugh-out-loud, embarrassing moments for good measure.
So buckle up and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for a dose of raw, unfiltered truth about what it's really like to chase your dreams and build a business.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the startup world, we've got something for everyone. Even if it's just to make you think, wow, I'm glad I didn't do what they did.
Welcome back to the Take the Leap podcast. I'm really excited to be back today, and we are going to be talking about content consistency, meaning, are you consistently producing content for your business? So I want to celebrate all except for one day, which I blame that I was traveling that week. So I totally spaced because it was a short week, but I have consistently sent out my email newsletter every week on Monday, and it doesn't matter when it goes out because sometimes it goes out in the morning. More than likely it goes out in the afternoon. I let Flowdesk decide what the best time in the afternoon is, but I have been producing an email newsletter every week, and after months, years of struggling to get it out every month, because I have kind of held my feet to the fire. And I also have somebody on my team who's like, hey, where's the newsletter for Monday? Gotten that out there. So I will only claim the newsletter. I am still trying to work on social media consistency and blog post and website consistency, but I will own the one thing that I have been able to get out on the right day. Thank you.
I'm very impressed because... And I'm really glad we're talking about this today. I'm honestly hoping to get some advice partially, but then also, talk to our audience about it because I have been so bad at this lately. And consistency is something that I've talked about throughout my career with my clients, with different people I've worked with. And I am so good at consistency when it's for someone else, when it's for a client, when it's for somebody I work for. I'm really great at creating procedures and best practices and scheduling things. And, is calendaring a word?
I mean, I use it.
I don't know if that's a word.
I use it as a word. I've used it in context before. Yeah.
Anyway, I just feel like, I'm so good at staying consistent with content, with marketing activities when it's for someone else, but when it's for myself, I suck at it. And as you know, I have multiple projects going on, and I have my own business. I have another one with my husband, and then I have our Take the Leap project, and then I have my clients. And I will tell you right now, the two things that are struggling the most are my own business, content for my own business, and then content for the business I have with my husband. And the one piece of content I've been able to stay consistent with is our podcast. And I think it's because I know that you're relying on me to get it out there. You do all the editing. You do an amazing job at putting it together, and we have our recording scheduled every single week so we can stay ahead of it. And I think there's just something about knowing that you did your part. Now I have to do my part. So I do it every week without fail. It doesn't matter. Some weeks I'm really good about scheduling ahead. Other weeks I do it at the last minute, but it doesn't matter because the day before a podcast goes live, I always make it happen. And I don't know how to apply that same determination, if you will, to my own business when I'm the only one who is double checking that. So, yeah, that was a very long, like, that wasn't really a question. It was just a very long rant about how I am terrible right now at creating consistent content for myself. And I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, I will only claim newsletters. Maybe it's because of the time investment, or I don't know why. Maybe also, I mean, what helps me is I just write it in a Google Doc, and honestly, Kelly built it, and Flowdesk sends me a test. I make sure all the links are good, schedule the dang thing. And so, similarly to how we have the podcast, I have an accountability buddy who will be the one
Right.
who helps me with it. And so, that is something I think that helps a lot with. And then I've been failing horribly to do this. I met with somebody who has an technology, I guess it's a technology software as a service called Accelerate Social. Shout out to Sarah. But it's like a engagement pod on steroids, I guess a little bit. You know, you have to. So here's where I have been doing bad. There's like a window of time. It's Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Pacific or 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. You have to put in the link to your post on LinkedIn before 8:30 a.m. So there have been multiple times where I'm just like, I'm at 8:15 and I'm like frantically typing something to do, and I miss the window because it took me more than 15 minutes, to type something out. But what's nice about it is once you do put that in there, it'll connect you with other people who will then respond to your post, and then you'll have to respond to their posts. And then you vote on whether or not they did a good job. So it's kind of keeping people accountable for not just like typing trash things in there, or just like an emoji or something like that. Like so many other engagement pods, people don't put like a valuable response on it. But yeah, there's been so many weeks where I'm just like, oh crap, I missed the window of it, that I'm starting to pre-schedule it the night before if I remember, like the day before, if I remember, so that it'll be available and I can just grab the link. But yeah, it's hard, like to claim things that you can be consistent with, or I've had it on my to-do list forever, and I know my team is waiting for me to like write a bunch of web copy for our second website, or our first and second website, because we are decoupling and making a nonprofit specific and a small business specific website, so we can talk about things that matter to each other, those audiences. But yeah, I think for me, it's not only about like making the time to do it, it's having that accountability person who kind of holds you to it. And that's why I'm really excited for on Take the Leap. We're going to have those co-working sessions that people can be invited to, which that's really your place to like have 90 minutes every other week to like work on your business. And I know that Tori and I, we're there to help and support you in that, but we're also there to use it to do our things too.
To have the accountability. Exactly. Well, and I feel like that's such a good point, that accountability piece, because I've done well in the past with things like schedule blocking and, mapping out my time and how I spend all my time. But if I'm being honest, it only works when I'm mentally, physically, and emotionally in the space for that to work for me. But if I am mentally a little bit stressed out, I have a lot going on, or I'm just not quite in it, then the schedule blocking isn't the thing that keeps me accountable. It's, like I said, it's knowing that you did your part for the podcast and I need to do my part so that we can be good partners in this. Like, I'm like, I don't want Ashlan to hate me, so I'm going to do this. And I know you won't, but
I will
like,
never
you know what I mean? Like, it's,
yeah.
and same. But I feel like there's that extra piece of like, okay, you did your part, I have to do mine. And if I could just replicate that in every area of my business, I feel like that'd be so helpful. So yes, having networking groups, having accountability buddies, having taking our, having that portion of our Take the Leap course and community where you get to just like check in and have goals with other business owners, having friends who are business owners. It's kind of like I don't really like dieting or, forcing people to work out, but I guess that whole culture of, if you want to stick to a certain workout plan or whatever, and you do it with someone, then normally you are more successful at it when you have that accountability buddy. And I feel like that same concept applies to business and probably pretty much every area of life.
Yeah. Bring a friend.
Yeah. Bring a friend. Do it with someone. Exactly. So, yay, I'm glad this is encouraging me to kind of figure out some solutions to why I haven't been able to be consistent lately.
Yeah. I like your idea of like the time blocking too. I do think that that might be where I'm like failing with using Accelerate Social, is that like I'm having to come up with a single social, you know what I mean? Like a single well thought out LinkedIn social media post that I want to post just for that day. And it's like, it feels like a mountain, like climbing a mountain, because, I'm just doing it on Tuesday and Thursday, where like, actually I have it up on my board right now, like pillars for content and to just draw down from those and like, just make a bunch of posts about branding, make a bunch of posts about like marketing trends, make a bunch of posts about like email marketing, and just like have those at the ready, instead of like, okay, today I'm opening my computer and figuring out something insightful to talk about for this time frame. So yeah.
Well, and one thing I should say is, and I kind of hinted at this earlier, but I just kind of thought of something else too. With this is that what's going to work for you right now might not always work for you in the future, and what worked for you in the past might not work for you right now, because life changes frequently, right? Like I said earlier, you might not be in the right mental space, but also just your life may change. And right now I'm a mom, and schedule blocking isn't working for me because my schedule changes so much being a mom. Some mornings before my childcare comes to help with him, I'm with him for several hours in the morning, and he will not let me leave his side. He's upset if I leave his side. Like, he just wants to play, or he's kind of he's a little bit on the louder side. And so it's like, me sitting down with my laptop on those days with him isn't going to work. Like, he's not going to let me work until the babysitter gets here. And that's okay. And, I've kind of adjusted my schedule so that if I can get some done early in the morning with him, great. But if I can't, I'll just wait till the babysitter gets here, and then I'll have some focus time. And so that's why schedule blocking really isn't working for me right now, because my schedule is just a bit random and changes so frequently. But still, having that accountability partner does work. And then, like, what other things, like, as things change in your life, right? Maybe you spend more time traveling than you meant to, and that's great. But then you kind of have to adjust, like, the things that work from you at home at your desk every single day might not work for you while you're traveling and working on the road, or whatever it is, like, where we all just go through different seasons. And so I think just kind of like knowing that it's okay that if that thing that didn't work, that worked for you really well 5 years ago, doesn't work for you now, it's okay to change it.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Or like in the space that I'm at, I'm like starting to pack again for the move this summer, and just thinking about like also having so much in your brain of like, okay, don't forget to bring this, or you can't pack that yet because of this. And like, I'm the type of person, like, I don't know, normally I just would spend like basically like the day that I would want to pack, I would basically do it like all, like all day long. Sometimes I can be like very all or nothing. And I know that that's like not great for when you're in business, because you are needing to pick up and put down different things. But yeah, that can also like, wear into your mentality of like, okay, I have all of this stuff going on. Like, so, you might not feel very motivated to do certain things at certain times because you're
Absolutely.
worried about that thing.
Absolutely. And I would argue that that's not necessarily a bad thing to be all or nothing. I feel like when you build a business, you build it for yourself, right? And so hopefully, you build your business in a way where you can adapt it according to where you're at in your life right now. So if right now your life is really chaotic and you need to be all or nothing, like how do you, this is like a conversation I feel like we should have with like a guest or something who's really good at this, but like how do you adjust your life? How do you take advantage of the all moments, and how do you rest or do what you need to do during the nothing moments, right? Like if you want to build a business that works for you, not against you, like how do you build something around that, knowing that you have ADHD or, neurodivergent issues, or maybe you just are in a chaotic space in your life at the moment. Like how can you work around that? So
Yeah.
I think we should definitely do a deep dive into this conversation at some point because I know you and I are not the only ones.
No, and I know that for me, did we talk a little bit about the woo? I guess we did when we had Mary on, but yeah, as like my human design type, I'm a generator. So like I actually have a lot of energy, like more than most people have a lot of energy to like put into, something. And sometimes it is just hard. It gets hard. It gets hard to turn off your brain. It gets hard to like stop the moment. Or like one thing you and I have joked about is like, we didn't start our businesses to work 24/7 all the time, but it's also really easy to like get caught up in that because you're like, I'm doing it for me, I'm doing it for myself, and I definitely, the to-do list gets fairly long, and I think need to recognize in those moments like there's always going to be more things on it. Like, you can spend time like being like, oh man, I'm going to get caught up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be consistent. And so you have to have those moments where you can like let go and be realistic about like what you can and can't do. And so, yeah, so that's part of the reason why I'm being really consistent with my email newsletter. Like I would probably burn myself way, way out if I was just like, okay, I'm just going to keep working on doing this and doing this and doing this as well. And it's just it's not conducive to a good, healthy work-life balance.
No. Yeah. That's not sustainable.
No.
Well, that's great. Well, I mean, I think all of us probably need to work on this a little bit at some point in our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if our audience has any tips on what works really well for them, would love to hear them. So feel free to email us or DM us on Instagram so that we can kind of share those tips out as well, because I know that I'm always looking for new tips on that.
Yes. We will also accept commiseration in our situations as well. If you just also want to be like, I also struggle
Absolutely.
with that.
Hey, I suck at this too. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Take the Leap. Appreciate, of course, as always, the conversations. And yeah, like I said, follow us, subscribe, send us a message. We would love to hear from you. And until next time, we'll leave you with that. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Take the Leap podcast. We hope you found useful takeaways you can apply to your entrepreneurial journey. Subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and keep in touch and follow us on Instagram. If you have business questions, shoot us a direct message or leave us a comment. We'll try to cover it in an upcoming episode. And visit our website, taketheleap-today.com, for more resources like our online course that accompanies this podcast.